An intro video.
Okay.
Normally I'd say good morning, Giants, but tonight it's good evening, Giants. We've got Maria Portas here. We've got Nicholas T. Smith. We've got an amazing show. I've been looking forward to this all day long. So, Nick, will you introduce our guest today for us?
I would love to. So joining us from Australia, we've got Maria Portas. And I love what she's about. So I'm gonna go through your bio a little bit, Maria. And if there's anything that I missed that you want to share, just stop me and we'll go through it. So Maria's sole purpose is to reveal purpose. She wants to reveal purpose, truth, and God's vision for our world. And so for the last 10 years, Maria has been the #1 trusted voice that people turn to for purpose, direction, and God's truth. So Maria is a clear channel of the divine and receives direct downloads to reveal your purpose and the aligned business that's within you. So we all came for purpose. That's why we were given this life. So we came down for divine impact, and our energy and our purpose is what is missing right now. So Maria is the call for us to rise into our God self and reveal the greatest version of who we are created to be. It is done. In one and all in love, Maria Portas. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for inviting me and for making me part of your Giants, community and reality, the Giants reality of what it is.
You're very welcome. So we're gonna go through your journey. So we're gonna explore what you're about. We're gonna go down rabbit holes. We're gonna get off track, and it'll just go how it goes. So we're not too concerned about staying too in line with things, but we want to go back in time with you a little bit and talk about childhood for you, what it was like growing up, maybe what that was, how it impacted you. Do you want to go into that a little bit?
Sure. Okay. So I was actually born into a really, really, really beautiful family. And my dad was very much close to the divine. He was like a real man, just like you guys, really cool, whatever, but had these beautiful values that people back then, like now it's very normal to see men like you and we cherish men like that. And back then it was like, what's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like he actually had studied to be a priest, but then didn't agree with a whole lot of things. And so thought I would just live the life, that God intended me to live. And he had a beautiful relationship with Jesus and God and just the way he saw the world and how, he didn't believe how, the church kind of taught things like put Jesus up on a pedestal and then made all of us like sinners and things like that. That didn't sit well with him. So he chose to look at everybody, and he taught me to look at everybody like you were looking into the face of God. Okay. So he used to say to me, I see the face of God in everybody I speak to. And so he treated people like that, but he was a real man. He was handsome and he drank and all the things, he was party. There was always people at my place. And had a beautiful, beautiful relationship with my mom, always put her first. There was no doubt that he loved her so much, but just stood up for community and was an activist and things like that. When I was 3, we actually moved I was born in South America, in Uruguay, and I look more like my dad, who's from Spain. But so I was born in Uruguay in South America, and in the 70s, they started controlling the people and making them not be able to hang out together, separating people, making rules that you couldn't be seen with more than 2 or 3 people outside.
Are we talking 2020 or what?
Yeah, exactly, right? So I'm telling this story because as a 3-year-old little girl that I left that country and we came to Australia, because my mum always said, if we hadn't left, your dad would have been the next one in prison, because they used to just take the people off the street, anybody that had a mind, a brain, had a voice, to say something against it and fight for their freedom, which was usually like intelligent people, doctors, nurses, university students, anybody that had done university degrees back then. They were the ones that were really the outspoken ones and spoke up for everybody else, and so they were just picked up and just taken away and not seen for years, and tortured, like the stories that came out. And I heard, as growing up as a child, I would hear these things. But I remember when all this started happening, like in 2020, it was just like such, in my body was like, everybody was like, there's this flu thing, and I'm like, no, my body was like freaking out because my body had seen this before. My body had felt this before and had known of this before. And I spoke to my mum and I said, why is it that my body's like going crazy? And I didn't remember the things, and she said, well, and I said, because when people are told to separate, to not go near each other, I said, my body, like, it's like, I want to just scream. I want to just, like it's not okay with me. And everybody's sitting there like, it's okay. They're taking care of us. We just follow and do. And I'm like, no, you have no idea where this leads to. And my mum said, well, what did I hear as a little girl? I kind of knew the stories, but what did I hear as a little girl when that was happening? And she goes, well, you would have heard us saying all the time, don't let them see you. Don't let, like we'd say to people, be careful, don't be seen together, or don't be, because if you're together, like you would talk, people would get together and talk and say, what are we going to do? So they had to keep people apart so they wouldn't protest or do things like that. So then we came to Australia and everything was fine. Okay, so then I forget, everything was fine. And my parents worked so hard, and there was a lot of South Americans that came at that time. And my parents worked really hard and gave us this really great life, and always serving the community, helping the new people that were coming to Australia. We're just such a standout family. Like everybody just knew my family. Okay, the Portas is like, we just, anything you needed, you could go to my dad, my parents, and we just helped people all the time. But it was never about, look what we did. It was just, people just knew, like in the grapevine. But it was always like, Dad would bring people home and we'd feed them dinner and whatever. And then it'd be like, we just knew, just pack up everything in the cupboard, put it in boxes. And when he drops them off, he'll just drop off everything we had to, and we'd always be fine. And they worked so hard. So it was just this beautiful, beautiful family and connection to the divine and everything. In my same family, though, just a little bit out, then when I was around 11, so I saw this, I realized later on that I actually saw the world energetically, because I could feel when someone would, I remember when I was young and I'm sitting with all the kids and we're on holidays, and my dad was a real adventurer and he'd take us on holidays and camping and like the best memories we had. But I remember one of my aunts, one time we were at school holidays, and one of my aunts made a bowl of sweet rice. It's called arroz con leche in Spanish. So I made sweet rice and fed it to all the kids. But I remember seeing, like, I could feel the breeze, everything, the energy of everything, like I could actually absorb it all. And then when she passed that bowl and gave it to me, it was just like I could feel the love just poured, like the energy. It was like I could see it or feel it. I don't know. It was just like I could actually feel it. And I remember looking around to all the kids going, like they're just like going in. I'm just feeling so much love all the time. I was just absorbed by this love, and I could just feel people's love and how they felt. And I could feel if my dad was ever upset or down, or I could feel everybody's emotions and everything. But if someone sent me love, like, oh my gosh, I could just, it was so much. It was so beautiful. And that's how I was experiencing the world. And I thought everybody experienced the world like that. I thought that was the normal, and I thought you'd just be beautiful to everybody, and that was okay. When I was 11, I was our families were all very close. At 11 years old, I was left in my grandparents' place, like I always was. And my grandfather sat next to me, which was weird because he was never like that. And he sat next to me and he began to touch me. And that was the day that a filter like dropped. And I saw the world through the eyes of fear from that moment on. So from 11 years old, my life just went, and it just changed, and I saw the world through the eyes of fear, and it looked black to me, and I couldn't feel like that love that I was feeling. I now realize was like the God presence that I could just feel all the time, and that was like boom, it was taken away from me. And it's exactly when I reveal purpose and things like that, like when you get your energy and what you're here to represent, your life makes so much sense all of a sudden, because you're actually, through life, you've actually had to experience the opposite of your greatness, the opposite, the smallness, right? The smalls.
Right.
Like we had to experience. Sorry, someone.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Sorry. So we had to experience.
Some of our best shows have technical issues, so run with it. So just going in your energy.
Okay. So, and yeah, so you actually have to experience the opposite. So that was the opposite of me. All of a sudden I felt disconnected to God. I felt disconnected to love, to everything. And so the rest of my life, I tried to chase love. I tried to look for love, and I couldn't find it. And so I couldn't feel it inside, and I couldn't find it outside. Thank you. Some beautiful messages. Thank you, Nicole. So I couldn't feel it inside of me anymore, or around me, or anything. And so I had to like search. I was searching outside of myself, right? And then I attracted boyfriends, men. I was just like a magnet to men. Once I was abused, I felt like there was something wrong with me. Like the abuser stops at some stage. Like, yeah, it continued for a while, but at some stage the abuse stops, and nobody knew. I didn't tell anyone, because at that moment I kind of realized, oh, we don't tell anybody. And look how many people I was going to hurt. Like a child's mind just doesn't, it doesn't compute, and it thinks, oh my gosh, look at all the people I'm going to hurt because of me. And so I never told anybody, and I went into depression too, but nobody, like on the outside I was very outgoing, popular, all the things, but I had this magnet for men. Like it was just like, come and abuse this girl, like come and like because I was kind and loving, and I grew up in a loving family and thought everybody else, or how my family were, I thought the world was like that. But then I began to realize it wasn't. And so people would think, why is she so kind, or what does she want? And it wasn't that I wanted anything. That's just who I was. That's how I was taught. And once I was abused in that, I guess I didn't have boundaries and all the things. And so I tried to fill myself up with so many things. And I met the men that I was with. Not that I was with a lot of men. It was just I had long relationships, but they happened to be abusive relationships. So so my self-worth, everything was just like, everything was taken away from me. I felt like nothing. Towards the end, I felt like nothing, and later on in life, I did marry a nice man, and I was like kind of shocked that, he was nice. How did he just was a really nice guy, and he was a nice guy. And that wasn't enough for me, because he didn't kind of love me with passion or something that I was looking for inside. So he was a nice guy, but it didn't work out. I had 2 kids, and then again, I went into another abusive relationship, and finally, and I had another child. So I have 3 children. They're now 24, 22, and they're 15, sorry. And they're beautiful, amazing. And I've grown as a woman, but I had to go through all that. And that's just content for me now, because it's just like, it's just it doesn't define me. Our past doesn't define us. It's actually there for us to be able to help others. So a lot of women come to me too, and they've had those relationships, or I'm an example of someone that can be totally loved by the divine, by God, by everything, and still, you know what I mean? I'm not a nun. I went through everything any woman has been through. And so we're just examples. We're all exactly the same, but I believe everybody has access to what I've been able to tap into again. So
from that experience, all those experiences, what was your awakening to what you're doing now? So what had you look up and say, there's more in Maria?
Yeah. Okay. So I just felt so alone for so many years. Nobody knew, but I wouldn't let anybody too close to me, because I thought, if they knew who I was or what happened to me, they think there's something wrong with you. I don't know. Something in your mind as a child just gets locked in there, and that's
right.
That's how you process. But I searched for purpose because I felt like I was going to die. I was so sad inside that I felt like I was going to die. So every day I had to fight a thought that would say, like, I literally had a thought in my head, and on the outside I looked like this, but a lot younger. But a thought inside of my head that would say to me, like, it was like my ego saying, don't forget, today's the day. Today, take your life. Today's your day. And I literally had to fight that thought every day. It was like, no. And so I searched for purpose. It was like, oh my gosh, if I knew why we were here. I want to know why we're here. Why am I here? Why? I knew there had to be a bigger reason. It was like, no, this doesn't make sense to me. I didn't feel like I belonged. And it was just like, why are we here? But I'd speak to people and I'd say, do you ever wonder why? Like, don't you wonder? And they're like, no. Like, I couldn't find anybody that had this obsession, to find purpose, and just find meaning for why I was here. Like, why am I here? Because if I don't find it, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to be here tomorrow. I'm not going to be here the next day. And so I searched and searched and searched for it. But when it actually happened was in my last relationship. And it was always on and off. And it was the relationship I had my last child, Jade, and he actually left me while I was pregnant, and then he'd come back and all this, and just mentally and emotionally abusive. And he, I don't know, another time he had left me, and so by then I had 3 young kids. I was on my own again, and one time I just thought, I actually started crying for a week. I was like crying, and I'd never do that in front of my kids. Of course, I knew things weren't right because he'd come and go, and I'd feel upset and sad. And but I was always like positive and happy with the kids, and they're amazing. And one week I just started crying, and I couldn't stop crying. It was just like I kept crying. It was just like, what is wrong with me? I don't know. And I actually reached out to him again, always reaching outside of me, like reached out to him again. It was just like, look, I said, whatever I have to do. I said, I don't know. Like, I thought I must miss him so much. What is it? I just want to fix things. Whatever I have to do, I just fix it, like as if it was my fault again. And he said, oh, nah, I'm busy right now. Maybe in 2 weeks. I don't know. And he would just like disappear for 3 months, and then, it was like a punishment kind of thing, and then come back like he was the hero. And I'd say, please, can we work things out? I don't know what's wrong with me. I just need help, or you, or something like. And he goes, oh, I'm busy in 2 weeks, maybe. I don't know. And so the very last thing that I thought I could, turn to, he said no again, or whatever, and then it was just like, oh my gosh, I literally had that eat, pray, love moment, but I didn't have it all over Italy and Bali and all that glorious things. I literally had it in my lounge room. I actually dropped to my knees, and I just went, oh my God, I cannot do this anymore. And I just said those words. I don't know how they came out of me, but it was just like, oh my God, I cannot do this anymore. And I dropped to my knees, and for the first time ever, I heard this audible voice. And it was that what it said was, you are nothing without me. And it was like a loud, audible, it sounded like a man's voice, but obviously it's not man, female, nothing like that. But it sounded like a loud voice, and it was like, you are nothing without me, which sounds very negative, but at the same time, I was filled with love and peace. Right through my room, right through the lounge room, my whole house was just filled with love and peace, and my whole body. So nothing anybody could even say could even sound negative. But, you are nothing without me actually meant you are everything with me. Like, you are the giant with me, like you are playing small. That's why you feel like that. And now remember who you be. You are the giant, and so you are everything with me. And my life completely changed from that moment forth. And then I never heard an audible sound anymore. But what would happen over the days was, all of a sudden it was like, I would even think of my ex and think, oh, he's probably doing this, or, why hasn't he called, or he must be out doing this. And my thoughts would become like knowings. It'd just be, no, he's actually doing this. Like, even I think, oh, he's probably out, and it's like, no, he's actually at home. Blah, blah. I began, like, my thoughts were being changed and changed and changed and changed, and everything I thought would be changed to truth. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, I understood that my thoughts were being changed to the thoughts of God. And that's what Jesus meant by, my Father and I are one. It's like, I have the thoughts of God. I think like God. I see like God. I think like God. I'm having the thoughts of God. I see visions like God. And that's what my life began to become. And all of a sudden I thought, well, if it's talking to me in a way, like, not audible, it was just a knowing that I knew. I just knew things. Any question I had, I would know the answer. And so I began to communicate and write, and I'd say, God, or who am I speaking to, first of all? And it was always, God, I'm your creator. I created you, blah, 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 all these beautiful things. And then it was like, and so I began to communicate with God. And it was just this beautiful, beautiful understanding. And God then at one point said, you will reveal purpose. Here's your purpose. And I received mine. And then God said, and this is what you will do on the planet. You will reveal purpose. You will create gods, and you will remind them, because you already know, but we don't remember. The whole point was to think we were small, and now to remember that we're giants, just like you guys teach. And so that's the whole thing that I search for all my life, is actually the thing that I now deliver and represent. And so we know inside of us, why was I searching for purpose? Nobody else was searching for it, or I'm sure there were, but I couldn't find anybody that understood my search, so I was definitely the small. And now and my life has changed to a giant. But just like, I love your story, because the giant doesn't say, well, I'm the giant, you're so little. It's like, no, we are all giants. The giant reminds them that we are all giants. Come, we'll show you. Like, it's just, changing our minds, different thoughts. When I was reading your story, it's so powerful, because it's just like, this is it. This is exactly it. It was so beautiful to read that someone else understood. Yeah.
Thank you. Man, so I'd imagine, using the story as a storyline for your life, you get this awakening of your purpose is to share purpose, to help people, to reveal purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't like, I'd imagine it wasn't like, well, everything was easy from there. There wasn't any difficulty. You didn't have to learn anything. It was just like, there you go. You got it all. You're good to go. Can you talk about the journey a little bit? Once you got your purpose and you had that awakening, what happened?
Begins, right? Now the journey begins, because now it's the unraveling. You're still in the human. I've still got 3 little kids. I'm still on my own. I still have an ex that's coming and going and doing whatever. And I still have my shitty way of thinking of myself, in a way, because he's told me things about myself. No one else is going to love me and whatever. So I have this power that I've kind of tapped into, and I know it's there. And so I can go through life and I can feel better about myself. And actually the more he'd lead, so that continued, because he'd come back. And so he was just like, and I'd want to believe that, oh, he gets it and he loves me again or whatever, you know. I love the man. So I wanted to be able to have the family and things like that. Right. And yeah, there are no words to describe it exactly. But yeah, so I wanted to have that, and he would continue to come. But it was beautiful to know that I could ask questions, and no matter what he was saying, I could ask and say, well, what's happening, or what's the truth about this, or whatever. And one time I did ask God, because it kept going, and yeah. I finally said, look, I got angry with God, and I was like, tell me, and this is all like written communication and downloads. And it's like, tell me, does he love me? And God says beautiful things to me, and you know, because we're amazing, and reminds me of how amazing I am and everybody else. But also will kick my ass, because it'll be like, no, stop that, you know, like. And so I remember saying, why doesn't he love me? Why can't I have a man that loves me? Like, I'm kind, I knew I was a good person. Like, why can't someone love me? You know? And I said, so tell me, does he love me? Because he'd gone, and I thought, oh, well, you know, we'll just try again or something. Yeah. Does he love me? And God said, no, he does not love you. And I was like, what? Like, you're so rude. Like, you could lie to me. He's like, no, that man does not love you. And the next thing that God said to me was a life changer. Okay, so that's why the truth will set you free. The truth is so beautiful, even though it's not what you want to hear. I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to hear, yes, he does love you. He's just having a hard time. Hang in there, you know. Like, no, God came straight out and said, no, he does not love you. And not only does he not love you, he came to not love you. He came to not love you until you could actually love yourself. Okay, and I'm sure there's many women here that need to hear that too. They came to not love us sometimes until we can love ourselves. That's why he was there.
That could be with all kinds of challenges, right, Maria? Like, that could be in anything. It doesn't just have to be in a relationship. It could be in any type of challenge. Those challenges can keep coming until you learn to either love yourself or push through it, or overcome that challenge.
Yeah, it's all around us. For me, it happened to be more in relationship, and then, you know, being by myself too, then it was like money and things like that, because I was like, he wouldn't help me, and so I'd give him the power, you know, like. But anyway, when I learned that, when God said that to me, he came to not love you until you could love yourself, it was so freeing, because I thought, okay, this guy's never going to love me now. Like, I can be 100% certain this guy is never going to love me, because even if he wanted to, I couldn't even hate him then, because it was like, even if he wanted to, he was actually put here to not love me. And he has a purpose too. But one of the things, he was put here to not love me, to push all my buttons until I could love myself. And the minute that I loved myself, I finally loved myself, it was like, oh my God, I never need you again. Like, I don't, that man still would take me back today. You know, then they threaten to leave you all the time, and then they're the same people you can never get rid of. Like, but so it's like, he used to always say, I'll leave you, nobody's going to love you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it doesn't, you know, he just came to push all my buttons until I could stand up and just go, okay, I am done here. Never again is this going to happen. And that's when my life started to change. But still, then, like you said, you know, there's times where, like in other places in your life, because I was a single mum with 3 kids, and so I had to create money and things like that. So I do life purpose sessions when I put my kids to bed when they were little, and this was like going back 10 years ago. I put them to bed, and then in Australia, and the Americans would wake up, and so I do life purpose sessions like 11 o'clock at night. So my kids were in bed and school's done and everything, and that's how I kind of started. But it was I always felt like I needed him, like, help me, because he wouldn't till this day won't give me anything, right? So like help me with some money, like you've got to help me, you know, like I can't afford to raise, or his child Jade, like, or school fees or anything, you know. It was always such a struggle, and it was just like, you've got to help me. And he would just laugh at me. He would just like, still he laughs at me, you know, like, but he would just laugh at me. And finally God said, like many years, this was such a struggle, and I couldn't make the money, and it was always like, and you know, with kids and everything and on my own, and it was just so hard to get it all together. And then finally it was like, if you stop giving him the power, if you just do them, like go and do what you're meant to do, forget about that, anything outside of you. Whenever I go anywhere outside of myself, it all just topples for me. And when I remember that I am the source of everything, that I create everything, and then I just began to do that. And I actually never asked him again. And so he's never given me anything, but I never asked him again. And whatever, like, I think he gives me $30 a month, which is like $1 a day, for, you know, which is ridiculous.
That's
but
big time.
it's huge, huh? So, but God actually says, you must look at that's where he's at. That's his problem. He doesn't have what we have, the love we have. He doesn't have all that. Like, so I am the source. I am the source of everything. And I'm lucky that I'm connected to God and everything. And then it was just like, okay, stop giving him any power. And that, because that's what he wanted, that connection, that me like, and crying sometimes and this and help me. And sometimes he would, and, you know, like, and so it was like, okay, I dropped that. And I'm the source, I create. And even when that money comes in, like I think it's $16 a fortnight, I go, thank you. And I write it down as money that's I've received. And it's like, I don't say thank you to him, but energetically, thank you, you know, like I receive. It's more money. Yeah. And so it's,
I'll take that buck a day.
Yeah. And God said, it's like you have a ring of abundance. Okay. There's like this beautiful ring of abundance, and it's complete, right? But as soon as you start focusing on that $16 a fortnight or $1 a day, you're like, that disappears. All this disappears. It's like it's slowly disappearing. And actually all that you bring in, and now my business is over 6 figures, and it's all created by divine downloads and channeling, and like the life purpose sessions are incredible, and they're all channeled. And without his $16 or whatever, it doesn't complete this circle of abundance either. And so I had to look at it as just a completion thing, but also when I showed up and didn't ask outside of me. And I'm so lucky because, yeah, God always takes care of me. You know what I mean? I'm always taken care of. I'm always like, God is my source. God is my boss, really, because I just, whatever the download comes, that's where I'm going next.
I wanted to talk about that. You know, I'm going to tap on my shoulder here. There's the part in the story where he stands up on the shoulder of Remy, right? And we all have our Remy. And, you know, for you, your Remy is God. For others, you know, they might say spirit, source, universe. Some people that don't believe in God, they might say it's their higher self, right?
Yeah.
But we all have a Remy of some sort. We have mentors, we have people in our lives, we have spirits in our lives maybe that help us to see the world a little differently, that put us on their shoulder and say, this is what you're capable of right here. So pay attention. And so my question around that is, as you're growing into this, I'd imagine there's moments of, can I even do this? Is, you know, like that, we talked earlier today about we're not designed for shrinking. We're designed for expansion and growth. But we can have shrinking thoughts where we feel like, I don't know that I can do this. That almost like I don't have the capacity for this, but you're pushing it at me and I don't know if I can keep up. Did you have moments like that?
I did, because, first of all, you know, years ago to say, oh, I talk to God or God talks to me or whatever, it's like, society has changed so much. Like, it's so acceptable now. Like, people, like love that side of me. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Yeah.
not that I go out and tell anybody in the street or preach or whatever. We found our people, just like we found the giants,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So we found our people and they understand us. The others don't. So I'm not going out and
Yeah, we're
telling
weird.
people that.
We're weird out there. Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
we're not so
Exactly.
weird in
It's
here.
just attracting the right vibration, you
I
know,
know.
like they'll come
Yeah.
around at some point or not.
Exactly. That's what we're seeing. So it's true though, because when that started happening, it's like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And sometimes I, over the years, like early on, I tried to find a coach because I couldn't find people that had what I was being given, right? And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and people would say, oh, okay, so you're a psychic, just, you know, that's what you are. Like what you're explaining to me, you're psychic, like just read cards or just tell them people their future. And I'm like, no, it's not about that. It's, yeah, I'm given so much information and things about vision and stuff like that. But I said, no, it's not about that. It's something greater. Like God has a message for these people and whatever. And whatever, I don't care what you call it, soul, spirit, I don't care. We're just connected. There's something greater.
Doesn't matter,
within us.
right?
It doesn't matter. God doesn't care what you call it either. You know what I mean? He's not hung up. It's like, I'm in you. If you remember or not, I'm keeping you
God
alive.
doesn't get hung up.
Exactly. It doesn't have our limitations, our thoughts. We put our limitations. Like when God started speaking to me and made me feel like that, my very next thought was like, what if this leaves? What if this leaves? Oh my God. What if God leaves me now? Because what do men do? Men always left me. And so what if God leaves me? Like we put our smallness onto God. Okay, so we even do that to God. Like God is the giant, you know. Just
it's interesting. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah, the remembrance is that God is trying to tell us, you are me. Like I am you. I am you. You're in. Like God is in you. You are that giant. We're not only the giants that we see ourselves as, you know, like each one of us with the names that we have, but we are the giant, the divine, the God, the whatever. I am. Yes, I am that. That's the giant that we are.
Yeah.
That's the giant. And so when I do my sessions, I always remind people, like, you are that energy that goes right through creation. You like God create. We're all parts of God. We're all parts of that energy, the divine. And so we're just here to represent those energies. And it comes through in the first sentence that I am downloaded. It's boom. This is what this person is. And I never know until that first sentence comes through. And then it's like, but we are all energy and we're all just different, like personalities, like different flavors of the divine. Okay, we come with this energy, or these energy codes that we're actually activating on our planet. And then but we have to show up as this energy that goes right through creation from one end of the horizon to the other, the whole 360 degrees. We are that energy. Okay, we are that. First and foremost, we should be waking up and thinking, oh my gosh, I can hardly breathe because I'm all of this. I'm all of it. Like look outside, the ocean, the everything, the buildings, you are all of it, all of creation. That is your creation. Look, you should be walking around going, I'm so abundant. Look at all the apartments I have and look at the trees and look at the ocean. It is mine. It is all me.
I want to pause on this because no, your passion around this is awesome. And I really want to anchor this in because I want to hear it for me. And I want those that are watching to hear this, what you're saying, because you're saying all of creation is already yours.
Yes.
As you're speaking this, you're saying it already is. Yes. And man.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel that, you know, it's like,
I love that.
Okay.
I love that because we are energy first and foremost, right? We are energy, like the quantum. We know about the quantum. You turn around and everything collapses. Okay? It all collapses. Your house, your everything. You turn around, it's all collapsed. It doesn't even exist anymore. Okay? We bring things to life. We are that. You're looking at that and we're all energy. And we think we end here. We think that these are here. They're beautiful. We're all beautiful here. But we think we end here. No, we are one. We're all connected by the same energy. Even the chair, everything is the same energy. It it is, like it just is. That's what God is. It just is, right? And it's the divine, it's whatever you want to call it right now. It doesn't matter. But there's a power, there's an energy that you are that is the same as everything else. It's all the same, and it's all God. And so you are a God that actually is all energy. And then God chose you to represent one of the energies, and you've experienced that, and you've also experienced the opposite of that. And you may be experiencing the opposite right until I give you your life purpose session. And then you're like, oh my God, I get it now. I understand. My life makes my life. I understand my life now. I understand why I do the things I do. And yes, this is, and I don't even know the people. And they're like, yes, this is everything that I am. Of course, now it makes sense. This is what I represent. And we see the world through these filters. Okay. But we are that energy first. And then once God chose that energy for you to represent that flavor of the divine, then God said, okay, and I'm going to create Ryan to represent this, this energy. I'm going to get Ryan to represent this energy in the world. Okay?
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
I'm in.
And created you absolutely perfect. Like you weren't supposed to look like anybody else or be anybody else or whatever. That's what, we try to be like other people. No, the more Ryan is him, the better he is. The better we then see him.
You hear that, everyone?
Yeah, we have to remind our kids all the time.
Yeah.
You hear that? But the more you are you, the more we can bring you out. So like you said, when I didn't share that that God was communicating through me, that I was just like, oh, okay, I just knew these things, I'll download your purpose, but I wasn't really saying where it was coming from, like I wasn't fully owning it. And a lot of times I don't even have to say it because people just say it for me now, and I don't have to. I embody that. I be that. And my message, I get so excited about it, I cannot not speak about it. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's not to shove anybody you need to believe. It's not a religion at all. It's just, this is who we be.
Yeah.
I'm battling Ryan over the comments.
Yeah, there's too many comments. You're doing amazing, and Nick can't write fast enough,
No.
so I throw up stuff before he can throw up stuff.
Well, so I can feel that we're in the energy of what you do right now. So you can feel the energy shift in you. Talking about your journey and what got you here, it's important for people to hear that we all start different. And you started in a family. I'm going to recap a little bit. You started in a family that was giant, really giant. You had a situation that turned you.
I've described it like that ever before, and that makes so much sense now. Thank you so much.
Well, and the beauty in the story is when Remy shares his story with Rit, he says, look, I was a small just like you. I was born into a giant family with giant parents, but I was a small like you, and I had to learn and develop my abilities. You had an experience with your grandfather that helped you to feel small, right? And then you could have allowed that to define you. You did for a time allow that to define you. And then you discovered through all of this that you have giant potential within you. You see the giants out there and you're wondering, what do I do? You don't even know who God is or what, but you sit down, you pray, and you say this thing, and then you hear this knowing of there's more in you.
Yeah.
And so you go out on that path. It's not like that path is just over. It's you go out on that path, and he says, come on up. Let me show you something, right? And he stands up and he shows you. And then from there, you still have the work to do of becoming a giant.
Yeah.
And so you go out and you practice and you practice and you practice, and you start to grow in capacity to where today is giant, right?
Yes.
And so, and now what you're doing is you're showing others their giant potential. And in the story at the end of it, it talks about that, where he goes back to the smalls and he shows other smalls their potential.
Yes.
And that's kind of the drive of giants, is when you reach your potential, you see your value and what you can do. Man, I can't help but want to share that.
Yeah.
And that's the energy that I'm getting from you right now, is I have a purpose. And also I deserve to receive value for that purpose that I put out into the world. So it allows you to do more. It allows you to provide for your family. It allows for these things. Because I think what people do is they think, I can be a giant. I don't want to get paid to be a giant.
Yeah, that's
right.
what that was huge for me too, because actually one of the things that my dad taught me was, and in a beautiful way, and that's the way he was.
Yeah.
But the way I took it in, it didn't serve me at all. So it was to be humble. Okay. It was to be humble, and we help people, is to be humble. So, and we were always giving, right?
Yeah.
But we didn't ever want anything. Like, they worked their asses off, and it was like we never needed anything. It was like, we gave. And so I kind of learned that. And it was also to be humble. And also one thing that my dad said one time, and may have meant it in whatever way, or would probably have meant it that way, is we don't charge for God. One time I heard that. We don't charge for God. Because I once said to him, once I started waking up, whatever, and saw how much, like, my dad would do talks. It was like a Dr. Joe Dispenza for me. Like, he was like that, being in that presence, talking about the divine and everything. And people would just like cry, it was such a beautiful experience. And he'd always make people feel like more, not like he was better than them. He was like, one of the giants. And so, and he, I don't know, I forget why I was telling you that. Oh, yeah. So he actually, one time I said, you should put we should get all your talks and everything and put in recordings and everything. And then you can sell them online and stuff like that, when I was learning how to put everything up online and everything. And you should sell them. And he goes, no, you don't charge for God. Now that stayed with me. Now then God gives me a purpose, and it's all about opening up to God, whatever. And for years, it was like, I would do the things and I could not charge. I could not charge for my work. My dad has passed and everything, and I've worked on that part because I thought something is blocking me. I cannot, I felt like I can't charge. I can't, or I knew I'd have to make sales, but energetically I was like, no, this isn't right. Like, someone that I truly loved told me this was not right. And but my whole business became about God. My whole business, like everything I was, became about God. And it was like, well, my whole life is God. So why, or the divine, or universe, whatever you want to call it. It's not the universe, because we actually create the universe, but it is something greater, a power greater inside of us. And then one time I thought, oh, why don't I just, because I can talk to anybody. I just choose to talk to Creator. Like, Albert Einstein has this beautiful quote that says, I want to know the thoughts of God. Everything else is detail. And when I read that, it's like, yes, that's me. Like, I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. I can just ask Creator, and that's truth. And it's beautiful for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm not interested in what this dead person said or something. Like, no, I'm going to Creator. What is the truth? And this is, and how it's revealed. And
as
then
you
one
said
time,
that, there was 1111 that just scrolled in.
Oh,
That's
really?
why I was like capturing that. You're good. Keep going.
Nice. And then since my dad has passed away, okay, unfortunately he got cancer one year and then passed away, and even I used to say to him, you can ask for a miracle. I knew he could ask for a miracle. You can ask for a miracle. Ask for a miracle. You will be healed. Ask for it, Dad. Like, you ask for it. Like, I can ask for you, but you need to ask for it. Like, you have to want it. You can't. It's like Jesus, like, when, like, he could only heal people that wanted to be healed, like, believed that they could be healed. Then you were healed, but not if you don't believe it or anything, And my dad said no. He said, Jesus died, and now it's my turn to go too. Like, he was that humble that he wouldn't even ask. You know what I mean? Like, he wouldn't ask. But that doesn't mean you're good or bad or anything. You know what I mean? He just didn't feel like, if Jesus had to go through his journey, my dad said, this is mine. This is mine. And however it ends up, then. But I believe you can ask. Okay. I know you can ask. All right. So I used to say to my dad, ask for the things that you need, the things that you want, because sometimes we ask for things, but we don't really want it. Energetically, we don't want it. And that was the thing with money too. One time then I had a conversation with my dad and said, from the other side, my dad now says, like, talks to me just like, hi, Mary, he used to call me, and is the same energy, whatever. And it's all in communication. I write, and I invite anybody to do that because we can all do that. I'm not special. And then Dad said, I said, this money thing, right? I said, this money thing. It's got me like, is it still, what do you think? And he said, now that I'm here, I know who you are. I know how God has chosen you and who you are there on the planet. And also, there is no greater work that you could do. There is no greater work that you could, which is the work he was doing anyway, but there's no greater work, and you should be abundantly paid for doing that. Like, I shouldn't have to go work at some other job that means nothing to me, and when I'm awakening people and things like that. Yeah. And I get abundantly paid. I do get abundantly paid, because if I've charged life purpose sessions at all different rates, and I cannot keep up.
Right.
Okay, because people are awakening, and it's like, we always knew you were going to connect with me, and we always knew I was going to connect with you guys. But when people work with me, it's like, I'm not even calling you. God's already called you. God's already put the calling on you. And it's just like, okay,
and those people receive the value too, of what what the charge is for helping them realize, their giant potential and move into it and step into their power, right? And realize that they are they are creators.
Yeah, and
that's valuable. That is a valuable thing.
Exactly. And it's also, and I also do it like it's a life purpose business session. It's now become a whole experience, because I also have another coach that comes and helps you afterwards to help you expand it and all the things. And and I interview you and everything to put you out there. And it's become a beautiful experience now. So it's so much bigger than it was before. But the actual session with me, it's like 2 hours long. And I give you like your life purpose, the mission. The mission is how you do your purpose on this planet, and your message, the actual message that your people need to hear, like word for word. I give you all the words, all the downloads that God's given, like exactly why you were created, but also like what program you can teach that's aligned to your message, and also like a one-on-one session, so you can be abundant from your purpose. Okay, it doesn't mean, so I got my purpose and so what? No, you can actually be abundant, and God actually shows you how you can be abundant. It's already within us. It's already within us. We have everything within us.
We talked today about the seed, the apple seed. That seed already has a tree within it. That little tiny thing has a tree in it, which is amazing, right? But we don't think of it that way. We see maybe a fruit tree that has some apples on it, and we think, well, it's almost out of apples. That's how a lot of people think. And it's not that way. That seed could be planted and produce 100 apples that all have seeds that could produce 100 more apples ad infinitum, and that's been going on for millennia. And so there is really no lack of abundance in that thing. But we come in and say, I need to control this apple tree. I need to control this thing. And it creates that lack. And I think, what you're describing here is the book does this. You describe it, that your potential is already within you. That package, that tiny little package called Nick or Maria or Ryan, is full of all the potential it would ever need to become the giant that it's capable of. It's already in there.
You are the seed.
Yes.
You are the seed, right?
It's so beautiful.
And you are the tree.
And you are the tree.
Exactly.
And we go around saying, well, I can't, or I'm not, and that's how it ends. I am not that thing, so therefore you are not that thing.
Yeah.
And what you're giving people is you already are that thing.
Yes.
And not only are you that thing, but this is your purpose. This is what kind of tree you are. You're an orange tree. You're a fruit tree. All the flavors, it's like the tree analogy.
So you're trying to produce bananas right now. It's not working for you.
Yeah,
because
you're not a banana tree.
You were born to do this right now, and that's what we need on the planet right now. We need what you were born. It's so beautiful how you describe that. It's so Amazing. This is what it's like talking to giants, because they get it. You know, it's so beautiful.
I can't believe it's 8:55. That was 55 minutes already, and I feel like we just barely got started. And so if you're good to go a little bit longer, are you okay, or do you need to jump?
I can go a little bit longer. Yes.
Okay. And we won't extend it out. I won't leave that as an open, like we'll go 30, 40 hours. But I do want to hit on a few more things just real quick. As I picture your journey and what got you to here and the growth that occurs in that and how you're serving other people, I'd imagine that some of the old fears still come up. So you still have that and you work through those. I don't think I want to go down that path right here. I think what I want to explore is maybe the wisdom that you would share with people about who they are already. Like, what would you share? Man, if I were to ask you a question, I got to think, because I want it to be impactful in a way. How do people wake up to their potential? I think that would be the question I'd want to ask you.
Yeah. Okay. So we have to go within. So like my story, every time I went outside of myself, I was losing my power. Okay. When I'm filled inside of me, then I become overflow. Then I go into overflow. Now I'm in overflow. You're in overflow. Like, your energy, your everything. Like, we're just, like, we can stay on this, like, there's no time here, because we're tapping into something that's just our energies. We're all over the place in different parts of the world, and yet we're so connected. So, like, oh my gosh, I'm so close to you guys right now. Like, you know, like, it's just like, I feel that. It's like, it's so nice. But it's all from within. But you cannot overflow unless you awaken to what's inside of you. Okay. So one of the things I usually have my clients do in the very beginning is to ask God, first of all. And I've done this so many times, and a lot of my clients share this all over the internet. But it's like, show me. Ask God. Ask God for what you need. God says you ask for so little, all of you. It's all yours, and you ask for so little. So ask, because you're entitled. You are royalty. You are of the Most High. Okay, we're all royalty. We're all like walking around like we don't know what we're doing. And if we just stop listening to the noise out there, first of all, this world has become very noisy with a lot of shit. Okay, but remember, when I was 3, I knew this is not okay. This is not okay. So we have to shut that down, okay, and listen to what's within us. All right. And I'm going to ask all of you you have to have you cannot be a part of something so great, like be a giant and be part of a giant family, and you think and you choose to go, okay, but I'm not going to participate in that, or I'm not going to connect to that. I'm not going to talk to that. Like, I'm not going to talk to the giants or something. Like, talk to the source, because you'll remember who you be. When you talk to God, spirit, whatever it is, even if you have to call it universe for a while, you can call it whatever you want. It doesn't matter. But there is a source that moves the ocean, that keeps everything together, that's creator, whatever, source energy, whatever you want. Tap into that. Okay? Communicate. I invite you to communicate. It wants a relationship with you. God created us to, first of all, I just have to say this because I'm being told to say this before it has to be on this video. God created us to raise, first of all, this is your power. You were born to raise out of any situation you find yourself in. Okay, if you don't have enough money, if there's something with the government, anything, we were created to raise out of any situation. We are solution-based beings. We are beings of love, and we can actually raise out of it. The solution is there. We're blocking it, just like you said. We are the tree, we are the apple, we are the seed, we're everything. Okay, but we were born, our makeup is wherever we find ourselves. Oh, this isn't working. You're so much greater than all that. You are the power, you are the source. You get to raise up. There's an idea that if you're open, God will deliver an idea. That's how God speaks to you. God is always speaking to all of us.
I'm having a
this book, God just gave you an idea.
Yeah.
But we don't communicate with God. I'm asking you to start a relationship with whatever you want to call it. Okay, and start and just say, hey, I'm here. Like, write it down so you know what's coming through.
Hugh hears him.
Yeah. Write it down, and I invite you, and then that will begin to remind you of your connection. We either, like I always say, you either plug into the divine in the morning or you plug into the matrix. Okay, and if I haven't communicated with God, and I've been doing this forever, this whole, like God says, this whole game was set up to take you away from who you are. It's all set up, like it's all set up. It was all set up this way to take you away from who you are. But we came to remember. The only way God could experience anything else apart from God experiencing itself was we had to forget, and then we remember. But we have free will. So what's beautiful for God is that when you return to God, like not die, but I've already returned to God in my mind, in who I am. Like when I choose that, I had free will to choose it. I cannot choose it, but in the last moment of life, I will. Like I don't have to wait to that. There is no heaven, there is no hell. We carry heaven within us. Heaven is a state that we create. We carry heaven is what we bring. We each bring a piece of heaven to earth. And heaven or hell is what we experience here, because we can separate. And that's what I lived for so many years. I separated myself from God, from love, from everything. And I looked at outside of myself. So it's going within and knowing that you are that, like, just like you explained, you're everything. And just remember, you are everything. You're abundant. You have everything. And just being in that energy, and just say to God, this is the prayer. God, show me the love that I am. Show me the love that I am. Demand it. You can demand from God. You are God. So show me the love that I am. And it will be shown to you. When I prayed that, when I said that once, I said, show me the love that I am. Because I realized after all the work I had done, I still didn't fully love myself. Like, I still didn't. There was something there. I said, so show me the love that I am. And God will show you. God will show you, like, this is love to me. This being invited here. That is like, oh my gosh, look how loved I am. Look, all these people and these beautiful guys that are doing incredible things in this world. And what a gift. What a gift they chose to talk to me today. Like, that is a gift. That bursts my heart. So that sends energy out to the world. I know what my energy does to the world, just like yours does. If we're happy, if we're in love, we're like, that's what we need more of in the world.
I appreciate so much what you said about growing wherever you're planted, that you already have all that you need within you to survive that situation, not survive it, but to thrive in that situation. Right. Yeah. Because that's a different energy. To survive is just to exist. To thrive is to create. And man, so you were hitting on choices and the game and the matrix and all this. And just imagining that in order for there to be a choice, there have to be options. And if there have to be options, they have to exist already. Otherwise, what would you choose from? Mm-hmm. And so to say that it's all designed already, it already exists, it isn't outside of the realm of possibility according to spirit, according to physics, according to anything. I mean, the reality is it can exist in multiple ways at once, but you're the one that chooses based on how you see it. Yes. That's what determines what it shows up as. And like you talked about things unraveling, when you turn your back and you walk away from it, it unravels. And in physics, they talk about that there needs to be an observer, and it holds the thing together in a state, right? But when there are a lot of us observing a certain thing, it holds together in that state a little easier because one can turn their back and the others hold it together.
Yeah.
And that's what these communities like the Tribe of Giants do, is that we all hold this space together, because it's not just one person watching it now.
Yeah,
It's not just me anymore. It was me, and then Ryan came along. So it wasn't just me anymore. It was me and Ryan out there dancing, like, that Simon Sinek video, right? But then
we're terrible dancers, though.
A year ago, the tribe was created. A year ago today. And now there's 2,300 plus people that are holding that tribe, that energy together, globally. Yeah. So I can go to bed and there's still energy holding that in space, And so that's the beauty of a creation, is that there's a point where you don't have to be observing it constantly for it to be what it needs to become. That others come in and they join you and they help hold that together for you. I think of what you're doing and how many people are just holding space for your creation so that Maria can get some sleep, right? Because you are human.
Do you sleep?
Yes, I do. God's got us. God's already got us. So
yeah.
That creation is there. It's just, and like you said, like, how amazing that you have this community, because there is a lot of people in this world creating something completely different.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the more of us that realize how beautiful our energy is, and when we're in love and we feel that, and love is just who we be. It's just that is the energy of God. That's all it is. It's not someone up there judging you, doing all this stuff. No, the universal laws, God says the universal laws are already set up. Okay. Cause and effect, they're just set up. So the game's here. But God is love. God doesn't have to judge or anything, because we do that to ourselves. Oh, I make a shit choice, I see the result. Like I chose the wrong
made a few of those.
There we go. But how beautiful that you have and you built this community, and you lead this community all the time, and you have these beautiful leaders in your community too. And yes, that is holding the world that we want. Okay, so like, if you can't communicate with God, whatever, this is it. This is it. This group here is the God that you feel like this is them telling you are that giant. In the same way, you are that God.
This is your shoulder.
Yes,
right?
Yes. But it's the same story. We're telling the same story. You and I are telling the same story.
Yeah.
Exactly the same story, but and people will be in different places, and some people can't receive it from me, and people can receive it from you.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about that too, Marie, Linda, you suggest that too, and I've known this, but as I've stepped forward and not knowing the path, but trusting that God will reveal it, and sometimes it's through other people. It's not my actions necessarily. It's partly my action and moving forward, and then something comes in play. There's been so many giants. All of these giants that have been commenting have had an impact on my life because of making a decision to step forward into down the path that I was supposed to go down. Every single one of them that's been on here. I remember sitting in and meeting Amy Bingham, and an amazing person. And her, I feel like she activated me, and the things brought me to a new sense of awareness and consciousness. And we had meditation. I just sent her this, but I drew a chalice in a room that was on this rock pedestal, and there was this portal that had opened up above, and I don't know what it was. I think it was a liquid or water that was flowing into that chalice and then overflowing. And when you had talked about you have to fill this first to then be able to to provide and to have the value and be able to share that, I think that was what I drew. I don't even know if you can see that.
That's amazing.
But I drew that in a meditation. And but I'm it's so interesting to me how all of these people, they're so interconnected, and I'm just so full of gratitude that you've come into our space, and that because other people have also chosen to go down their path and follow their giant's journey. The Amy's, the Nicole's, the Diana's, everybody on here, Hugh, You name them, Melissa, Nicole. There's a huge list of people. I can't even scroll up fast enough that have stepped forward. And because they did that too, and they're doing that, we're all connecting, and more things are coming into our sphere and attracting, and we're elevating and helping others to do the same thing. So this
and
message, everything.
Everybody plays a part, right? Like they make us rise too. Like we make each other rise, and we were all created. Okay, so the story is about us, and at the same time, it's not. When you deal with God, there's two sides of everything that you've got to play. It doesn't even make sense in the human sense, but the story is about us. It is your story that you're unfolding, but it's also not about us, because you were created with other people in mind. So the people are already there. And some people will never come to me. They can't hear the message through me, but they can hear it through Ryan. They can hear it through Amy. They can hear it through Diana. We all need to rise. We all and that's what I said. We were given, like God said to me, it's not like you have this life and you think, okay, one day maybe I'll find my purpose, like it's a luxury, no, you were given life because you have a purpose. That's why you're here. That's why you were here. You were given life because you have a purpose to do on this planet. That is why you have life, not the other way around. Life and if I feel like it, I'll work out my purpose. And each one of you here, I'm not saying, you have to book in with me, otherwise, no, I'm not saying that at all. Like, yes, that's wonderful if you feel the call, but you are doing that now. You're finding yourself, you're being a giant. You're being a giant here, so you're finding your purpose. Sometimes it's a journey until you go, okay, give it to me, boom, in great detail. Like I collapse time for people, put it that way. That's what this does. It collapses time. It's not like, is it this, is it that? I love doing this, I love doing that. Like, this is why, now go out. This is the filter you've always seen the world through. It just makes sense to you. From there forward, you understand why you're doing certain things. But we were created for purpose and for other people. And so each one of us is perfect the way we were made up. And so the more we be ourselves, the more you be you, not anybody else, not me, not Ray, not anybody else. The more you be you, the more you will shine. The more you speak your truth, like I don't hide that, I speak to God, that's it. I don't try and cover it up or whatever. I don't, and I'm still a real woman. I'm still I dress like a real woman. I'm, whatever. I'm sexy, let's say. No, I'm all woman. Like, God doesn't choose me and then I become a nun. You know what I mean? It's like, no, God created me this way, made me Latina. So
I'm so glad, Ryan, I said this to you today.
What's
right
that?
after our first call. It's not a worthiness thing. It's not about that. Your purpose is beyond that. My purpose is beyond a worthiness thing. Because if it was a worthiness thing of me being good enough, that would have been out years ago. There's no way this can even come close to being the way it is.
Are you talking to me, Nicole?
I wonder how God gets through the dirty thoughts. That's what
Nicole just made a comment. I think she was talking to me.
You're damn sexy, right?
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole.
Oh, it was for you.
Oh, yeah.
But all of us get to be exactly who we be, and that's more than enough. We are those giants. So I thank you guys for doing what you do, because this is so beautiful, such a great community, and everybody, I can feel how everybody's just when people, it's not we're the leaders in that seat. No, you are in the job of raising everybody up, What was the last comment?
Amy said Maria's fire, and Nicole said you're damn sexy, and then I said, I know, thank you. And then Amy's like, and you too, Ryan. And then she was like, and then she felt bad for Nick, so she said, thank you, Nick.
Well,
all right, good. Nick, fine.
Good. I appreciate it, Amy. Thank you. So how do people find you? I've got your Facebook scrolling across the bottom, but how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so either Facebook or Instagram is the easiest way.
Is that the best? Okay.
Yeah, just send me a message or just under a post or message me or whatever. And
You might want to go back through the comments. Somebody asked about your coursework, so you could go back and message them privately and let them know about like what what you charge and how to get in touch with you.
Yeah, it's perfect. So I have to ask: is there anything else that's coming up that you feel you need to share?
No, all I'm being guided to share is just like the honor, like to be in the presence of what you guys are doing, to be in the presence of this community, of these giants, of all of the giants that you have brought together. Like, if God could say anything to you, it's like, God is like, it's an honor being here with you, with all of you. It's an honor, like, and you are all of that. But God, if God could speak to you right now, like, it is an honor to be in the presence of all of you. Like God is blown away by all of you. So yeah, that's what God wants you to know. It's an honor to be.
Yeah. Thank you.
I love you guys. I think you're amazing.
Got it.
Right. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I'm it's so funny how it's not funny anymore. It's not funny really, because it's the weird thing. I was talking about this before, Nick.
Yeah.
The I say crazy or funny or weird how connections are made, and we go all the way to Australia. We find a giant for the league, and then we come all the way back and we find Amy and we've run across Natasha Devine, and we run across another Jen in Australia, and more Australians join the tribe, and we hear about this Maria Portas, and then I'm like, well, who's that? And every single person that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of people in doing this, says, oh my gosh, you have got to connect and meet with Maria. And then you know what's weird? Now I know the connection. So Amy, if you're listening still, I hope we had a meditation. I saw Natasha Devine's tattoo before I even saw her. And then me and you late at night were on a Natasha Devine, and I saw you and I messaged you and I said, oh my gosh, you should be on, Wake Up with Giants.
Yes.
And we connected.
Yeah.
And
it's so beautiful. Like, just
I want to honor you too, because you called me when I was sick, when I had COVID.
Yes, I forgot about that.
You held energy for me when I had COVID, and I appreciate you. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I didn't even remember I did that. So
thank you. So, man, what an amazing show. The time flew by. I didn't even know we were that far in. It was just, you can feel when you get into that energy, there is no time. You just get into that energy, and so it just flows. I could go longer, but for interest of time, we're going to wrap up.
Thank you.
And so, we want to make sure that we support you in your community and the same in ours, that we continue to grow all of this. And so for those that are watching, remember, it's already in you. Was there something else you wanted to share right there?
Well, just this group right here is the world I want to live in. This is the world I want to live in. So thank you. You're creating our world. This is the world I want to live in, that I always dreamt of having. And the people, just how you communicate, who you are, like as men, especially as men. My God, especially as men, right? That's huge, right? Women, it's different. We can communicate. We can feel safe. And something that I haven't felt safe a lot, and a lot of women, I speak for a lot of women too, is around men sometimes, because it doesn't feel safe. It feels like, but it's beautiful to have men that lead and create a beautiful, beautiful world and a safe environment for us too. So that is love.
Thank you.
That is love. Thank you.
Thank you. Man, that's a great way to end the show right there. So for those of you that are watching, continue to follow us. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, there's going to be more there every day, just about. There's content going in there. And tell your friends. I don't know if we told you that, but tell your friends about us so that they can come see the tribe as well and be a part of this community. And so
We can't do this alone. So we need you. Like we need all of you. This takes a community for sure.
This is the world we want to live in. Yes, invite your friends. Yes.
That's awesome. Thanks for being a part of this, guys. We will see you on the next episode. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.